Right. Hi, everyone. I am Sally Cruzan from Fort Clyde, Maine, and I am here with Lee Glynn of Skowhegan, Maine. And Lee is going to share a story, his testimonial, with using our Entune CBD Square. And he's got an incredible story, so I'm going to just turn this call over to him. Lee, please share with us.
You bet. Hi, Sally. My name's Lee. I had something unfortunate happen to me 18 months ago. I got up early in the morning. I was living on a farm and had a small antique business that we ran. And I had some fresh antiques that I was anxious to take a look at and to research. And I bounced out of bed on the morning of October 29th, 2017, and I suffered a hemorrhagic bleed inside my brain, inside the part that's sort of your switchboard. I was unconscious for a couple of weeks and came to when I was in acute rehab, spent a few weeks there, and was discharged to go home. I had lost the ability to walk. I was in a wheelchair. As you can tell, there's some effect still on my speaking. I have trouble getting the words sometimes. There are all kinds of fancy names for it. And I spent the first few months obviously in shock and grief. My entire life had changed, and I spent quite a bit of time thinking tomorrow morning when I wake up, it'll be all better. Maybe tomorrow morning, and the truth is, and as I discovered, was there is no magic potion. There's not going to be an aha moment when I wake up and everything is healed. It just doesn't happen like that. It's been 18 months. It'll probably be another 18 months, and I'll just keep grinding it out and doing the rehab and the exercises and trying to get better. I tell you that in order to tell you about my experience with Entune. I have eschewed any other
in less than 18 months, you're going to be challenging me to all kinds of things. And I'm going to be embarrassed. This guy had a stroke and he's ahead of me, for Christ's sake.
My father-in-law. I can only hope. I realize that it takes work and that there's no substitution for it. The brain does heal. Certain things heal. Some things don't, but certain things heal, and they heal by repetitive motion. They heal by doing it over and over and over again, and that's what I do. That's my job now. I receive disability pay, and my job is to rehab. I keep rehabilitating myself. So anyway, I've eschewed all the other offers that I've had, which have been considerable. To try this, try that, try this, Lee. And I've stayed exactly with what my doctor has ordered over 18 months. I've heard, as probably a lot of you have, about CBD, and CBD is the best at this and that. And I had done quite a bit of research long before Sally ever reached out to me. And she simply reached out to me and said, I have this product available to me. Would you like to try it? And it happened to be at the right time, and the right message fell on the right ears. And so she sent a 6-pack of the squares over to me, and I wore one. And I wore another one. I put a third one on before I actually really connected anything. With my condition, I mean, I wake up every morning and take an inventory of what's working today, what's not working, and there are changes all the time. Something that I could feel yesterday, I could feel on my cheek. but I can't feel again today. That's, obviously that's troubling, but it's also encouraging because I know that if I felt once, that could very well return. And so it's hard to determine what's going right, what's not working with anything, anything at all. I take a muscle relaxant to combat stiffness, and I never am really sure whether that works or not. But I'll tell you something that I did find. I found that while wearing the patches, that I tended to have good days. I tended to have days not with giant strides forward, but I had days where I was optimistic. I had days where the little voice inside my head didn't spout negative things, it spouted positive things. I generally, overall, had a good day every time I wore one. That obviously led me to the next order, and I wear them religiously, and I wear them because I find that it frees you from the little aches and pains, the minor little stuff that comes along, but it also puts me on a very healthy path for my particular story, my particular journey. That's about all I could say, Sally. That's what's happened.
Well, that's pretty profound. And we chatted the other day, and you used an additional phrase. You said that it's like it opened a door for you. And I just love that. It's such a visual. And so I just love your story. And we've only met in person once, and that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we've stayed connected through the power of Facebook. And so I just find your story and your recovery just so heartwarming and so encouraging. And following you on Facebook, the thing that's really impressed me is through this darkness that you've been through, that you now have the ability, because some resources weren't there for you.
Oh, yes.
And why don't you chat a minute about that, because I think it's a really important message, and just how my sharing the squares with you landed on you at the right time. What you're going to share next might land on someone who needs to hear this message.
That's right.
Tell us what you're doing with support.
Yeah. I have two groups that are going now. We have a Skowhegan group and an Augusta group. Of course, I came at this from my own point of view. I came to this portal through a stroke, which is a very specific, you can have ischemic and you can have hemorrhagic strokes, but that's a very, I don't want to say typical, but it leads, most of the survivors end up in some sort of rehabilitation and with some amount of disability afterwards. I reached out to the local hospital in the town that I live in, and I was told that they don't treat stroke patients. That stroke patients are always sent to Portland or sent to Bangor or one of the bigger areas, and that there was no need for a recovery and no need for a support group since they don't treat them. And I thought to myself, what about those poor people that survive and come home? So I started my own. I had an opportunity to visit two other stroke support organizations, one in Brewer and one in Brunswick, and modeled a support group after those two that I saw, and I started my own stroke support group here in Skowhegan, which is still small. It's very modest compared to some of the big cities. But I find that every time I come out of the meeting, I am so glad that I did. There was somebody there that needed to hear the message that night. Enough so that a national organization reached out to us and asked if we would be willing to start another one in Augusta, Maine, in the capital. The capital city had no stroke support group. Actually, who reached out to me was Brain Injury Association of America, and they focus not only on stroke survivors and support, but that wide range of brain injuries, which we are another subcategory of. You get the education along with the disability, apparently. But we did that. We started a second group in Augusta. That has had a little bit more impact in the local area because it's a larger area. So it is a larger group, but we continue to operate Skowhegan and Augusta. And we're already talking about expanding into Waterville, another underserved community, and Farmington. Sally, you and I know those names as moderate-sized towns in Maine with a population, a certain number of people in the population that have a brain injury, either acquired or through congenital reasons. To get those going is, in the line of business that you are, you help people. And sometimes I think that maybe that's really where our value lies. It doesn't lie so much within Lee Glynn as it lies within Lee Glynn's ability to reach out to others and to share with them and support others. It probably is what the glue that holds us all together,
I think you're right. And we can't medically help anyone. That's not what we're here to do, and we don't make any claims to do that. But when you can give hope and just give a listening ear, that can be so helpful. And so that's what you're doing. I mean, you have a story, and you know that there's a need out there, and you're trying to fill that. I feel the same way. People are looking for some natural solutions to support their health, and that's what I like to do, is to fill that void as well. So I congratulate you on your efforts. Maybe you can start to use the Zoom platform so people don't even have to leave their homes, and you could maybe even reach a wider audience with your support groups. That would be a great thing to look at in the future as well. And we can connect a lot of people at once. So thank you for your time. Continued success with your rehabilitation. And maybe we'll touch base a little bit down the road and get an update from you.
Good. I look forward to hearing from you.
Sounds great. And you have a